Hi, this is Tony Robbins. Welcome back to session number 2 in Get the Edge. How do we transform our bodies, our emotions, our finances, our relationships, and our life? First, I want to congratulate you for making it to session number 2 because as you probably know, and this blows my mind, most people will invest in a book, a tape, something can change their life, and the minute they get it, they feel comfortable. The minute they get it, they feel no more drive to create a change. And so they look at the package and they feel good and they put it on the shelf. Very few people will ever read past the first chapter in a book, for example. I remember reading years ago that less than 10% of the people who buy a book read past the first chapter. Well, the first session in an audio program is the equivalent of the first chapter. So if you're here, I know you're one of the few who do versus the many who talk, and I want to welcome you back. Here's our focus in this session. There are patterns of success and there are patterns of failure. What I mean by that is that success leaves clues. People who succeed are not lucky. People that are happy on a consistent basis are not just born under the right star. There are certain things they do on a regular basis to make them happy. People that are physically fit and vital and healthy and energetic are not just born with that. They have a pattern of things they think about and they do. So in our first session, we wanted to get you to establish a pattern, an ultimate pattern that would give you time with yourself so that you would focus on the things that matter most and not get sucked into the hypnosis of the culture that says just go, 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 and maybe one day wake up someday and you'll be happy. You know, someday when I have more money, someday when my kids grow up, someday when my kids finally get out of school, someday when I find that person, someday when I get that raise. But of course, the road to someday leads to a town called nowhere. It never shows up. So what I really want to do with you today is I want to have a session with you that I call a results workshop. This is not just listen passively and kind of understand stuff. Well, you can do that in the beginning. But I'm going to take you through 7 steps that will help you to absolutely take yourself from having an idea to actually making it work, from having a complaint to having the results you deserve. And it's really simple and we'll make it fun. But first, before we do that, one of the things we got to look at is what prevents you from following through? What's preventing you from taking action? And let's relate this both to what we talked about yesterday and creating this beautiful hour of power, this commitment to yourself, this connection with yourself. But let's also relate it to dietary change or any other change that you want to make. Why don't we follow through? And then let's say, what does it take to follow through? And then let's just do it. Well, the first thing to realize is the difference in people's lives is the difference in their standards. Now, I know that sounds pretty darn basic, but when I say to people, what does it take to change your life? The first thing I always say is raise your standards. Now, what do you mean raise your standards? How basic can you get? What I mean is you got to turn your shoulds into musts. Everybody's got a list of shoulds. I should do this. I should follow through. I should go on a diet. I should do my hour of power. I should spend more time with my kids. I should make more cold calls in my business. But they don't actually do anything. What you got to do is make it a must. When something is a must, you follow through. But most of us don't because we think, it's too big a task, or it's overwhelming, or we just flat don't really believe that we're going to get the result. Very often what we do is we focus on the process we have to go through instead of the outcome. I mean, most people that own their own business, if I ask them today, if you knew all you had to go through to make this business succeed, would you have even started? And most of them laugh and say, I don't know that I would. See, people that succeed, they focus on how they're going to feel at the end of the process. People that never start look at what they got to go through. So let me tell you up front, this day is a results workshop again. What that means is, unlike every other day except the relationship day, this is going to be 2 CDs or a large audio tape, which means you can choose to split this in half, and I'll let you know at the halfway point, and you can make this a 10-day program if you want instead of 7 days. Not bad to have 10 days to change your life, but I want you to really take the time here to make the changes, to walk through these 7 steps, because if you do, the changes can be extraordinary. If there's something you keep talking about doing and you're not following through, I promise you, as you go through these 7 steps, you're going to find out not only why you're not doing it, but what you need to do to change it, and you can do it today. So stay with me, okay? And this may seem unreasonable to take time for yourself each day. It's an unreasonable amount of time, an hour for yourself. I think that's ridiculous, and I know you probably do too, or you wouldn't be listening to this. But a lot of people think that way. And you know what? Unreasonable people rule the world. It's unreasonable to think a man could be locked up for 27 years against his will when he did nothing wrong. But Nelson Mandela not only went through that process, but came out on the other side and came out and said, no, let's work together to bring the country together. Anyone would have understood if he wanted to kill everybody who took a quarter of a century of his life. But he's an unreasonable man. That's why we respected him. To think some nun who had no money and no background and no political contacts could literally help people that were dying in more than 100 nations around the world. And that when she actually passed away, virtually every leader, major leader in the world would come to her funeral. Would seem ridiculous. But Mother Teresa was an unreasonable woman, an unreasonable amount of love for people that no one else would love. Get unreasonable and everything's possible. If you get reasonable, you're going to have to lower your standards and drop down to what everybody else expects. And if you get your expectations down to the same level as the average person, you're going to have an average life. Nobody listening to a program like this, certainly not you and I, would ever settle for that. So if I'm intense, know it's because the more you demand of yourself, the more you're going to get out of this program. Because remember what we said? Only one thing creates an extraordinary life, an extraordinary mindset, an extraordinary psychology. Remember the 3 things you got to have to feel great or to feel bad? If you're going to feel great or bad, you got to change the way you use your body. So even as you're listening to me here, maybe sit up in your chair, or if you're walking, breathe and feel strong. And second thing you got to do is focus on what it is you want instead of what you got to go through. If you focus on the result of what you want to change and how good you're going to feel at the end of this, then these 2 CDs will whip by in no time. And you can stop them if I get talking too fast and crazy, and take a breath and go, this guy's nuts, but he's pushing me, and that's a good thing. What else you got to do? Give things a powerful, positive meaning. If you find something in these 7 steps you don't like about the way you've been believing and the way you've been acting, that's good. Don't beat yourself up. Just say, you know what? Now I know it, so I can change it. And thirdly, remember to watch your language, those language patterns. When you say, oh, do I have to do this? No, you get to do it. This is your gift to yourself.